This is the Generation Loss MK2 by Chase Bliss. It's an effect pedal that seeks to recreate the beauty of failing technology. The melancholic drone of a dusty old VCR, the nostalgic hiss of an old 4-track, or the characteristic warble of a handheld tape recorder that's low on batteries. Okay, let's check it out. As my sound source today, I'm going to be using the Arturia Micro Freak. It's an extremely versatile digital synth, and I suspect it's going to pair really nicely with the Generation Loss. So first things first, I'm going to turn everything down. Right now, what we're hearing is the clean signal coming out of the Micro Freak. By the way, the Micro Freak is a mono output, but Generation Loss MK2 supports full stereo. So right now I have it in MISO mode, which means mono in, stereo out. Next, I'm going to turn the model knob. As you can hear, it changes the sound substantially. It looks like a knob, but it's really a switch with multiple positions. As I turn it, I'm selecting different tape emulations: VHS, 4-track recorder, camcorder, dictaphone. The last three models were actually designed by Blank Forms, Amulets, and Marcus Fisher, respectively, so they're kind of like designer presets. Moving on. My favorite effects, wow and flutter. These are the things that simulate the pitch slowdowns and speedups. You can introduce big pitch mishaps with the wow, whereas the flutter is more of like a regular warble effect. I would say with both of these, a little goes a long way. If you're looking to add some character to your signal, just keep them around like 10 o'clock. This particular sound, the pitch drifting on an old VHS tape, is incredibly evocative for me. When I was a kid, my mom was a professor at the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. Each week she would bring home a different tape from the language lab there, episodes of a PBS series called French in Action. And each week, I would eagerly push the tape into our VCR, sit down on the industrial-grade carpet of the apartment we were renting, and see this.
Funding for this program was provided by the Annenberg CPB project.
I always loved this logo. Those few synthesizer notes that get held a little bit too long. Even as a kid, I remember noticing there was something beautiful and a little bit sad about how the pitch of those notes seemed to drift a bit. Anyway, this is the memory that this pedal evokes for me. Okay, let's keep exploring. The next thing I want to check out is the failure knob. The failure knob actually controls 3 different kinds of machine failures: drops, snags, and crinkles and pops. This knob is highly customizable. Both drops and snags can be turned on and off using the dip switches on the back, and the loudness of the crinkles and pops can be set using hidden options. Very cool. Next, we have saturate. This knob simulates what happens when you overload the record head on a tape recorder. I think of it almost like subtle distortion. In general, I find that keeping it at about noon adds pleasant warmth without completely destroying the signal. Next, we have the volume and dry signal switch. The switch controls how much of the original dry signal we have in the mix. Our options are off, 50%, and 100%. The volume knob controls how much of the affected signal we get. I generally prefer having the dry switch set to small, which is the 50% setting, and keeping the volume at about 60%. Moving on, the aux effects. This is really cool. These are kind of performance effects that allow you to mess with your sound in real time. You have 3 options. Stop, which performs a classic tape machine dying effect. I love this. By the way, you can change the speed of the stop using the hidden options. Next, we have the filter mode. This causes the filter to open up all the way, kind of bypassing the model. Also a very cool effect. And finally, we've got fail, which basically just turns up the failure knob momentarily. Finally, a tour of Generation Loss would be remiss if it didn't mention classic mode. So here's the deal. Generation Loss wasn't originally made by Chase Bliss. It was designed by a person named Tom Majeski for his own boutique pedal company, Cooper Effects. The new version of the pedal, which was designed both by Chase Bliss and Tom Majeski, is actually quite different from his original design. By switching the classic mode dip switch, you get to switch back into the original mode, and it's really cool. These gray labels explain what each knob does in classic mode. These two are a low-pass filter and high-pass filter respectively, and the middle knob is a sample rate reducer. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. I love that effect. By the way, if you're wondering why this pedal's called generation loss, that's actually a real term that gets used across many different types of media. Here's a real-world example. Let's record a few piano notes onto this tape recorder. Rewind. Here's what that sounds like. Now let's record that back onto the tape recorder again. Here's what the second recording sounds like. You hear how every time we record it back to tape, it gets more and more distorted. That effect is generation loss. Each time we make a copy, the audio sounds less and less like its original self and takes on more and more artifacts from the technology used to duplicate it. This is the effect that this pedal was designed to emulate. Well, not this specific tape recorder, but you get the idea. Okay, let's make some music with this thing. First, I'm going to figure out a basic chord progression. Let's choose a sort of synth organ patch on the Microfreak. Next, let's dial in some settings on the generation loss. Since I'm trying to show off the effect, I'm going to be pretty heavy-handed here. I like that a lot. Next, I'm going to pick a lead sound on the Microfreak. Okay, let's record a quick lead melody. Okay, that works. I want to thank Chase Bliss for sponsoring this video. Sponsorships like this help keep the channel growing. If you enjoyed this video, it would be great if you could give me a thumbs up. Also, now is a wonderful time to subscribe. I've got a lot of videos on the way. I've taken the Microfreak and the generation loss together, and I have created a whole bunch of sample libraries, which are available to patrons on the Patreon. If you don't know about the Patreon, it's $5, and every month there is a sample library that's exclusive to patrons. Also, if you sign up, you can download all the old patron exclusives, so definitely check that out. Okay, I think that's actually it this time. See you soon.